Hello, welcome to my first slideshow on poker and how to play against certain player types. So today we're going to be covering the optimal strategy against a maniacal opponent at the poker table. So this can, this kind of player can take shape in many forms, but today we're going to be really talking about the maniac. Some words of wisdom. If you can't spot the sucker in your first half at the table, then you are the sucker, and that's so true. A big part of poker is being observant, and maybe when you first sit down, you really want to take your time to identify who else is sitting with you at the poker table. Just from my own experience, I do have a maniac that I would say I play with maybe once to twice a week. What I'm about to tell you is pretty accurate stuff. So what we want to do is we want to identify the tendencies of the whale and the maniac. What does this mean? Well, it means pretty much paying attention to their actions, when they're checking, betting, the different textures that they do this on, when maybe they talk more when they have a hand and when they don't, stuff like that, We want to develop the ability to successfully put the maniac on a hand. This is hard. We're going to get into this. Don't worry too much about this part, because it kind of goes along with the maniac side of things. We also want to apply strategies that exploit their tendencies. We'll go over this later. And then we're going to formulate a mental game plan for withstanding the variance that goes along with playing against these players. Alright, so step one. We have to identify the donks. We have to identify the frequencies of the players at my table. And you're going to notice when you're playing with a maniac, they will be playing too many hands pre-flop, which results in numerous leaks. And this is going to apply with just by having too wide of a range in so many spots, which will generally lead to either them bluffing off their entire stack and you getting the ability to call off a little bit. You have to call off a little bit more. But this is where we can make a lot of money, both pre-flop and post-flop, through 3-betting them, playing back at them aggressively, getting them to fold their weaker hands. So we need to pay attention to hands that get to showdown. If you see them show up with, some junk like, 669 suited, like, they're wide, or maybe 7-6 offsuit from earlier position, like that's wide. You want to pay attention to their betting tendencies. See what they like to do. If they like to maybe raise the minimum, or shove for way more than the pot. You have to pay attention to what they're doing compared to the pot, and then also note their value bets to bluffs. And at the end of the day, they're gonna show up with what they're gonna show up with. So then we want to put them on a range. So any two will do. This type of player can show up with any kind of cards in these situations. So you have to know that going into it. We know that it's difficult. They have the ability to turn up the heat by applying significant pressure post-flop. Aggro players, they love putting you to the test. They will put you to the test for all of your chips, and that's some heat. And the way to counter that is by setting yourself up to succeed, by putting yourself in less sticky situations pre-flop. They can hold and represent numerous hands by simply having them in their range. Middling and low boards will totally favor them, because they play those hands. They play the 5-6 suited up front. They play small pocket pairs very often. They'll play weird stuff, 2-6 suited. It's in their range. They have it. So how do we deal with this? All right, so we tighten up pre-flop. We only want to play premium hands from early position, and then we definitely do widen up towards the button, and we want to start 3-betting them aggressively from late position and from early position when we have monsters and when we wake up with them. Hands like suited connectors of small pocket pairs, they have great implied odds, and you should play them in earlier position. But the caveat is, if you're going to have players that are 3-betting you often, you got to tighten up. Yeah, simple as that. You have to play back at these kind of guys. Listen, they're going to make their hands, and you will be bluff catching them often, and sometimes you're just gonna run into it, but really you have to give action to get action with these guys, because if you're tight, if you're playing like a nit, if you're only showing up at the river with the nuts or close to that, they're gonna start folding, or they will know to play away from you, and you will not get them, and you will not let them bluff into you. Which is a big part of the strategy. You just want to let them do their thing. So then we have to talk about the mental game and the life of a maniac. It's hard. It's cruel. It's that's not how you spell nihilist. Tilt is a huge factor against this player type, and that's for sure, because they will beat you with the junk hand every now and again, and you know what? I am okay with them calling preflop with a raggedy 2-pair like Jack 5 offsuit or Jack 5 suit. It doesn't really matter because I know I will be printing money against them in the long run. And to go with that, variance is high. Sometimes they do in fact pick up aces, like I said, and they aren't bluffing, but that's only sometimes. Most of the time, they don't have it, because getting aces frequently is very hard. And have fun. Play within your bankroll. Enjoy the game. Poker should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. Your goal is to have a good time. And here's a little advice. So thanks for watching, and have a good one.